Welcome back, fellow producers, and welcome back to another Top Sounds tutorial over here at TopSoundsAudio.com. We're finally back with another tutorial. We're going to be more frequent with uploading tutorials after taking a little bit of time off, let's just say, after the deletion of our YouTube and stuff. But let's get into it. So, in this tutorial, we're going to be teaching you how to basically make your kicks more punchier and make your 808s hit harder. So, without further ado, we're gonna get started with this kick. We chose a kick that wasn't like super punchy. I mean, it still has some punch to it, but we're gonna make it hit a lot harder in an 808 that's kind of decently punchy or decently hard, I guess you could say. If that makes sense. So we'll start off with the kick. Let's lay out a little pattern so we could just hit on a loop while we mix it. It's fine. Something small like that will work. Just keep it on loop. So we'll start by normalizing it. And we'll go into the piano roll. And we'll turn up velocity all the way on each one. And I'm wearing headphones and I automatically hear that it's clipping. Which you want it to hit as hard as possible without clipping, which is also the point of mastering. So we're going to put this on its own insert. We're going to go in, and what we always do first is we EQ. So we're going to start by cutting, rolling off the low end completely. Oops, there we go. So roll off the low end. Because you don't want to have that protrude with the 808 to the bass at all. And then we'll take this at around like 135 to 140 hertz, and we're gonna change the percentage to give it more of a point at about 5 dB, which gives it somewhat of in between sub and low mid. So and now that that is in play, we're gonna go ahead and open up a compressor. And this it depends on the kick, but we want it to be as loud as possible without, and hit as hard as possible without clipping. So we're going to compress it. We're going to turn the ratio up a little bit to about 3/0 or 3/0/1. Turn the threshold down a little bit. I'm not going to mess with the release or the attack, just a little bit up. The type, we're going to leave it at hard. And then the gain will turn up to about in between 5 and 1. You don't want to go any higher than that, because that just sounds terrible. And you know, the higher you go up, the less that it's going to hit. So we're going to keep it up around here. We don't want to squat, like if you have it all the way up here, that's just squashing it down. And as a kick, you don't want the kick to be squashed like that. So we're just going to turn the ratio down, excuse me. Have the threshold in between 0 dB and negative 20 dB. Because the quieter you go on the threshold, the less punch you're going to have. So I'd say under 10, honestly, negative 10. And then this, you don't want that, mess with that too much. I mean, once your mix comes into play with the rest of your sounds and instrument stuff like that or loops, you're going to want to have this maybe even a little bit lower. But you still want to have it prevalent in the mix. And then to top it off, we're going to add a soft clipper. And I'm just using all stock FL plugins right now. I mean, you can use Waves plugins, whatever. I mean, every EQ is essentially the same. Every compressor is essentially the same. But the soft clipper in here is pretty cool. So we're gonna have it hitting hard post. Turn the threshold down just a smidge. So there's that. And we'll turn this up a little bit on the gain. And if you hear that, there's like a little tail at the end that kind of clips a little bit. We can fix that by going into the EQ and rolling off the EQ like this. Like, it's all up to personal preference at this point when you're rolling it off. If you want to have it, hit higher, or down here. Like, I feel like this is also a good sound, so it doesn't necessarily protrude with the hats. But like I said, it depends on the mix of instruments and the sound selection that you have so far. So we're just gonna keep it out right here for the sake of this tutorial. So alright, that's how you make your kicks more punchier. And now we're gonna move on to the 808s. So we'll mute the kick, and then we'll put the 808 in the same pattern. And make sure when you have the 808 on, you basically want it to be able to cut by itself. So that's good. If it was down here, it's just gonna bleed, you know what I mean? So cut it. And every time the next one hits, it'll cut automatically. So it's not bleeding into it, the next one. Alright, and we're gonna normalize it. Didn't really do much, it's already normalized. So we're gonna bring it into its own insert. Again, we're gonna start with an EQ. On this EQ, we're gonna go over to 20 Hertz plus 18 Hertz cut, and we'll cut it down to about 10,000 Hertz. There's no need for high end on an 808, honestly, unless you're having like a low pump type track. But we'll bring that in play with the next insert that we have. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in something that I like to call Sheps, not to be mistaken with Sheps. So this is a plugin by Waves, and this plugin is really great when it comes to distorting your low end. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on drive. We're gonna turn this up just slightly. And immediately you hear how that just changes the entire sound of it completely, and it just makes it rumble. So the higher you go, obviously it's gonna be more rumbly and bumbly. And that's like low pump territory up there. So we're gonna keep it about like, we'll do 30. We don't want to overdo it. Cut the high end a little bit. Cut the mids a little bit. Turn the lows up. Because you still want your 808 to have some sort of characteristic on the low end to where you can hear it actually hitting. It doesn't just sound like it's just one big, like, for instance, let me turn this up. Like, you'll see right here, it's just all squared out, and you don't want it to be completely flat like that. So you want to be able to tell when it's hitting. Tweak with this, and like, because that kind of sounds cool right here with the high pass. So like for like an intro or something, you had it up here, and then you got the intro into this. We'll see what the phase sounds like. The phase gives it more, I feel like, depth. And then no need to mess with the output or input. Maybe turn the input down a little bit, but the output, there's no reason to bring it up unless like because you don't want it to clip. So you pay attention down here on the master channel. You don't want it to go above 0. So if we have it in that range, that's completely fine, and it's hidden. And honestly, that's kind of all you need. But if you really wanted to add something else to give it more low end and more volume, sausage fattener. And for some reason, sausage fattener isn't loading on my Mac right now, but sausage fattener, I'm sure you all know sausage fattener is one of the best plugins when it comes to fattening your sausage. So yeah, I would also recommend that one, but you know what I'm saying, Sheps pretty much gets the job done as far as making it all rumbly and bumbly. And then on top of that, just to be on the safe side of things, we're going to add sorry, it took so long to fucking find soft clipper. So negative 14 decibels around there, and post gain about 86. But then again, like I said earlier, it's all personal preference at that point and how hard you actually want it hitting. So you can even just bring it all the way down. And now we're gonna mix the two together. To mix the two together, we're gonna tweak back and forth on the soft clipper. So this is the soft clipper for the kick. This is the clipper for the bass. So. So that sounds pretty mixed together pretty well. I mean, you don't want to overdo it, and then you're sitting here for hours and switching it around. I don't even have a melody or anything in play, so let me just do that real quick. I'll put a melody in. And like always, you're going to put the melody on its own insert. And what do? We EQ. Always, always, always EQ first. We're going to cut the low end off the melody. We're going to just turn it down a little bit. And now let's put the pattern in. I'm going to start with the kick. And we'll just tune it real quick. So there you guys have it. That's how you make your kicks hit harder and your 808s rumble a little bit more. Yeah, like I said, use these tips to improve your workflow. Fuck around with that Sheps and tweak it to the best of your ability. Stereoize it, even monoize it if you want, and like turn it flat, like I said, for a cool little intro. But yeah, it's a really great plugin by Waves. I really recommend you cop it if you don't have it. If you do have it, I recommend you use it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and check out TopSoundsAudio.com for the best kits on the internet. Later, guys.